Next on the block is the tom-tom microphone we see right here. This is the D2. Oops, let me get that off there. And that is a smaller microphone. It's really easy to sneak in there, a lot easier than the Sennheiser. You can see it's much smaller than the Sennheiser. Easy to get in tight situations below a cymbal or something like that. These have quite a bit of reach, especially when you attach the mic cable, almost a foot long with the mic cable attachment. These are going to be probably under 5 or 6 inches, so you can get that in tight situations. With the drum kit, with the drum microphone package from Audix, you get 3 tom-tom microphones. You get 2 of these D2s, and let me pull this one off over here. Oops. You get 2 of these. These are intended to be used for your rack tom-toms. They're assuming you have a 5-piece kit, so you've got 2 of those on your racks. And then this is the D4. This is similar in size. I believe it's a little bit bigger, maybe just a skosh bigger, but the D4 is designed for your floor tom-tom. They give you that 3rd mic for your floor tom-tom. In my particular case here, I've only got 1 rack tom-tom and 2 floor tom-toms on my right over here. So I just put 1 D2 on the rack, my second D2 on the 1st floor tom, and then the D4 on my on my 2nd floor tom-tom. One thing about the 2nd floor tom is that a lot of guys aren't used to having it over there. The guys that have 2 floor tom-toms love it. It's kind of an old school rock and roll thing, having 2 floor tom-toms. Almost like a pair of timpani. You can do a lot of cool tribals kind of stuff over there with both hands, really some thunderous stuff. But a lot of drummers never touch that 2nd floor tom-tom, so it becomes kind of a nice little coffee table as I have here right now. You can set my headphones, notes, even a cup of coffee on that. I'll put a towel over it to protect it, and guys will use that as a little coffee table over there. If I'm doing that, I'll put the D4 on my 2nd tom-tom. So you've got a D2 on the rack and a D4 on the floor tom-tom. That's just a 4-piece kit that way. One thing I am noticing about these now that I'm looking at the light is that the D4 appears to have a red capsule or screen underneath there. I've never noticed it before today, but that I don't know if you can see it on screen in it, but that inside that mic, it's got a little bit of a red hue to it. Beautiful looking microphone. I've never used that in a video, but maybe I will. Again, these all come with a little clip that you can mount like that. And these microphones really make mixdown much easier. I'm not EQing the tom-toms feverishly like I used to. I put that on the drum, pointing pretty much at the center of the drum, out of harm's way, and I don't have to EQ that microphone or any of the microphones very much during mixdown. I don't have to scoop out all that mid-range, that high mid-range that we spoke about, and they sound great. You can EQ them. They take EQ very well. They have a loud sound pressure level. They can really take loud volume levels really easily. Great tom-tom microphones. Probably my favorite thing about the package. Okay, and last but not least, I'm going to talk about these guys. Pull this one off here. This is the Audix ADX 51. These are the powered condenser mics that Audix is giving you for your overheads. And in the package that I got, which is their top-end package, they give you 3 of them. 2 for your overheads and presumably 1 for your hi-hat. In the package that's down a notch, I think it's a couple $100 less, you can get a package that just has 2 of those. And I believe, I got to check on this, only has 2 of the tom-tom microphones. And the kick drum microphone as well. But I wanted to get the full package, and I got, it's nice because you get that extra hi-hat microphone right over there. And I'll talk about some applications for that mic in a little bit. Right now, I'll put that on the hi-hat. It's a beautiful microphone. Again, I love using that in music videos to give the singer that to hold on to. It looks a lot better than a 58. And I'm so tired of seeing the Unisphere old Elvis Presley mics in videos. There's nothing more cheesy than that in a music video to me these days, is when they're trying to make something look retro and they put up the Uni 57. Boy, I'm tired of that. Anyway, try to be a little more selective with your microphones in music videos, guys, if you're shooting them. There's a lot of beautiful microphones out there. I would rather you see a microphone like this used in a music video, even though it's completely out of context. It's a much more interesting mic to me than some of the stuff we're seeing these days. And please, no more 58s in music videos. Those are for the live stage. Anyway, the Audix 51, or I'm just going to call them the 51 from here on out, they've got a beautiful gold capsule-looking thing there. If you can see it on screen, it does have two little switches, a roll-off switch, and a pad. I believe the pad is a 10 dB pad. The roll-off, the low-frequency roll-off, is actually 150, which is really high. Usually on a roll-off switch, you'll see it at 40 or 80 to roll off those extreme lows, but these are designed for overheads. So they're really designed to get out that kick drum, everything below 150, even the tom-toms. So this, if you hit that pad, excuse me, on that roll-off switch, be careful, because you're going to be really reducing a lot of lows that you might want in there. I never use it. The nice thing about it is that these switches are indented. You can't turn them off, or inadvertently a musician can't turn them on or off trying to turn them. You know, they're indented. You need to use a paper clip or some kind of a pen or a pointer to switch those, so you can't switch them. They're easy to do, but they're just kind of idiot proof. I leave those wide open. I don't use the pad and I don't use the roll-off. I put them up here, as you see, and then one on the hi-hat over here. And boy, you are good to go. So that's the Audix drum microphone package. Again, it comes with the case, the microphones, the microphone claw clips for the tom-toms, and it does not come with the cables. You'll have to provide your own cables, obviously. I have the snare drum microphone here on a small stand. I'm not using the clip on that for the top mic. I am, however, using it for the bottom mic, and I'll pop that off there. You can see, just undo that. You can see how that claw looks. You might notice that I've got my old trusty Røde NT5 on there, and I didn't retire these Røde mics to the mic locker. I'm using it on my bottom snare now too. It's lightweight. It's easy to mount on this little claw. That little thing just pulls back and you clamp it on like so. I clamp it on the top rim. See, not too bad. Clamps right on there, and then that extends down below the snare drum mic, and I'll try to get a shot of that under there to show you what that looks like. And that's very easy to position perfectly for that bottom microphone, that bottom snare drum microphone. To remind you, that is a powered mic, so you need to give that old Røde phantom power. That's really brilliant on the bottom snare drum microphone. Which raises the question, what did I do with my other Røde NT5? I didn't put it in the mic locker. I've got it just off screen here. I'm using that on my ride cymbal. A lot of the times, if guys are playing their ride really lightly, or for jazz, I love having, in addition to the overheads, which are great for picking up crashes and loud stuff, I really like having that ride spot mic'd with that, and I'll put that just right over the bell of the ride, kind of pointing at the area where the tip of the stick is tapping, typically the middle of the cymbal or the bell, or back and forth. So just kind of point that where the drummer's striking, and you'll have an extra spot mic that you can, usually I don't need to use that. Usually there's enough of it in the overheads for a ride sound, but it's nice to be able to pull that up a little bit, especially if somebody is using brushes. You get a little bit more of that detail from that microphone being placed right there, and then you can rely on your overheads for the big stuff, the crashes, the thunderous tom-toms, and really get in the detail of that ride. Same goes with the hi-hat. I usually don't need much or any of that hi-hat microphone. It's good practice to go ahead and put that on there, but most of the time the hi-hat is such a loud instrument and you need so little of it in a mix. But I'm always recording that hi-hat mic just in case you need some more of that when you're mixing down. More appropriate for jazz and brushwork, stuff like that. When you've got light brushwork going on the hi-hat with the snare, you really want to pick up that hi-hat with that mic as well as the bottom snare microphones. Another thing I can do with my second Rode microphone, and it's a technique that I don't see too many guys using, but stereo miking the bottom of the snare. It sounds crazy, I know, but having a mic on top and then two condenser mics down below is a really nice thing. You don't need it in pop and rock and all. Most of the time you don't need it, but if you're doing jazz work or any kind of brush work, let's see if I've got some brushes here. I do. Any kind of brush work where you're using something like that, you're brushing the snare for jazz or even country. Having a stereo sound from those snares is really amazing. Try it out. You might be pleasantly surprised at how great that sounds. Again, if you're just doing pop or rock, most of the times you don't need it. But if you've got anything intricate going on in your snare drum, try that stereo mic on the bottom of your snare, in addition to the top mic. And you can pan those out left and right, and you'll get a nice swishing stereo action as the drum or the brush moves across the drum. You can have a lot of fun with that down there. Okay. There we go. As you can see, we've got this my Yamaha Maple Custom. This is the bottom side of the snare, obviously, and you can see I've got the Røde NT5 plugged in right here. And if you wanted to follow my technique earlier and bring in a second microphone for a stereo sort of effect, you'd bring that in kind of like this and maybe facing the opposite side of the drum. I'm trying to show you there with this angle, it's a little awkward. But anyway, play around with it, get a couple different perfectly matched microphones down in there. Drop them both out of a phase with the top mic, to be clear, and you're off to the races with stereo bottom miking techniques. Play around with that as you want, and you might need to put the pad on those. These also are very sensitive mics. So if you're noticing that they're distorting, drop the pad on. There's no built-in pad on these microphones like there is with the Audix 51s. So you might have to do that at your preamp or at your mixing board if they're distorting, because that is a loud snare drum right there, and they're right up on it. So, but if you don't want to do the stereo thing, that's fine. But here's where that bottom claw comes in handy. You can see it mounts from the top and it comes down. And I mount it from the top rim instead of the bottom, and that puts it right about where I want it to be. Again, pointing towards the center of the drum. And if you start angling it up, like I said, you're going to have to drop it out of phase with the top mic. So if they're both facing in the same direction, like across like that, you won't have to do that. But typically what you're going to be doing is angling it up a little bit. If you want to get more of an angle on that mic, mount the claw clip to the bottom rim, and you'll be able to get it pointing up like that instead. But I find that works pretty well right there.